The economic and moral math is shifting quickly. And so, again, I urge you to look closely, not just at energy plans, but at the integrity of the process that brought us here. And I ask you to, I'm always open to conversation. If you have questions or concerns for me, please reach out. I'm happy to talk. But I ask you to reflect on how we got here, and I ask you to lead with transparency, and let's start rebuilding trust together. Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick. Seeing no one else, we will move to our next item of business, which is mayor and staff reports. And there is nothing on that item today.
No reports.
And so we'll move on to council business, which takes us to Jeannie Simmons. If you can hear me, Jeannie, would you like to give us a planning commission update? Is she still there? Okay. If she pops back on, we'll let her give her update here in a moment. We'll move on to board and committee reports. And Ernesto, if you'd like to go first with your board and committee reports for last month, and then I will follow you.
Sure. About the library board, it looks like I haven't reported on 2 meetings. One of them, a great piece of news was that they had some unused library fund budget funds that will be used to pay down the bond. The makerspace that has been getting ready is finally ready for use and scheduling by the community. And we got to kind of preview a lot of the different technologies that are available to young and old. And it's actually pretty exciting. I think that we have the ability to make those types of resources available to our community. Public arts, we got updated on the call for applications or proposals for the new mural that will be in the Willow Park Sports Complex. And if I remember right, that's going to have a budget of up to $25,000. And we are hoping that local artists apply for that.
Do you know how long that application is open?
It's like 21 days, and it started a few days ago.
Perfect. So they've got a couple weeks to apply.
Through the time school starts, then, essentially.
Yeah, roughly.
As part of the Renewable Energy and Sustainability Board, we discussed kind of like an update to the rebate programs, and we chose to focus on the programs that will serve residential customers, all electrical customers, and also working with Bragg. And I don't think it's finalized, but I think those will be the priorities to focus on those. And not part of the committees that I usually meet with, but I did get to join a group that met with Sheriff Jensen as part of an effort to be better informed as to the then pending agreement to a possible collaboration with Immigration Customs Enforcement. We were informed that it was pretty much a done deal that they were going to sign an agreement with ICE. However, the agreement that was going to be signed, it was about a small change because state law requires county sheriff offices to, if they cannot determine an immigrant's immigration status, then they kind of turn it over to ICE. They change the agreement that they would sign would allow them to have access to a database from ICE, do a little bit of kind of paperwork, and then turn them over to ICE. So according to the sheriff, that is the only change. They will not be acting like ICE officers in our community. And if it's not official yet, because I haven't seen something official being posted about it, it should be official pretty soon. So that's it.
Thanks for the update.
Thank you, Ernesto. My board and committee reports for the last couple of weeks. Ernesto covered our Renewable Energy and Sustainability Board. Our audit committee did not meet. They only meet typically quarterly. And then our Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee met 2 weeks ago, I believe it was. And they are working on planning Bike Week with the health department. There's always a Bike Week with the county and the city, and then the health department does a Bike Week in September. And so they're just working on planning that and starting to get flyers out. I know one of the big pushes right now is if you know somewhere you can hang a flyer, reach out to me and I can help you get a flyer, and you can hang it in a business or community space so that we can help advertise Bike Week for the Bear River Health Department. And then the only other meeting I've attended is I've attended 2 virtual housing advisory subgroups with the Utah League of Cities and Towns. So those have been going on about every 3 to 4 weeks, and I've attended 2 of those, kind of working with the state level on housing affordability and what we can hopefully do with housing in our state and our communities. So those were the committees that I've been to. Do we know if we have Jeannie back?
Yep, you do.
Jeannie, would you like to give your planning commission update?
I don't have it in front of me. There are a couple of items. There was short-term rental, and there's also an item that will come to us for our discussion about setbacks in riparian areas. So it's a wetland setback change.
Which we are workshopping today?
Yes.
Oh. Is that all, Jeannie?
Yep.
Okay, Ernesto?
And I think I shared last meeting that I got invited to be part of the Cache County America 250 Anniversary Committee that will be kind of undertaking planning some of the programming surrounding this celebration. Tomorrow is the first official meeting that this group will have. And I'm looking forward to being part of that.
That's exciting. Hopefully we get a good celebration here in the Valley for it. Thank you. Our next item is that we have a Truth in Taxation meeting. That is this Thursday, August 7th at 6 p.m. here in the Logan City Council Chamber, so here in this room. That is a public meeting, and there is time for public comment. So if that is a meeting that interests you or you know someone that is, feel free to join us on Thursday for another meeting. Unless there's anything else from the rest of the council, we'll move on to our action items. Our first one is a public hearing, and I'll invite Mark Montgomery with Logan City Light and Power up to run us through this one, if that is all right, Mark.
All right, I think you've all seen it. I do want to call out one change we made since the first draft you saw. Rich, help me with this. The non-sufficient funds charge, we had it 15 or something?
We had it at 20.
20?
We're proposing it go to 45. Our cost from the bank is 35. So we haven't been covering our own costs on those.
So I did make that change, and then...
It's currently at 20,
Currently at 20.
Yes.
and you want to raise it to
We'll raise
45.
it to 45. There is significant time.
Staff time.
At least 3 different departments have to be involved to make sure it gets done right. So you hate to see those. We don't, we try to avoid them, but occasionally they happen.
Do you have an
And it's
idea?
per account, so if somebody pays 2 accounts, they have to pay twice. If they pay with 1 check, they have to pay 2 accounts, they have to pay twice. Because those are outrageously complex to unravel and work through.
Is it a common occurrence?
No, we do have some repeat offenders, and that's what we're trying to have as well.
And then, Councilman Lopez, you asked me to show you kind of a comparison of what the bill might look like to the average, and I have just a printout, but I don't know how to print that out.
Do you push the power button?
It's supposed
No,
to be on the screen.
I'm just teasing Light and Power. It was a really bad joke.
Oh, okay.
Probably the worst joke I've made in months.
So
Takes a moment.
that was terrible.
It was terrible.
So this is kind of, I just did a quick spreadsheet, and you'll see it, well, it's really small. I can blow that up. Oops. There we go.
quickie.
So 700 kilowatt hours is about the kind of the average residential usage, and this top section is kind of what that old cost would be, $89.50, and then under the new proposed rates, it would be $91.98 with a difference of $2.50 at just under 3%. And this isn't the spreadsheet, but as you change that, of course, that percentage changes, right? So, but that's kind of the average.
Thank you.
Any questions or concerns from the council? Jeannie?
Nope.
Okay. I just want to make sure we're not losing you, and so I might call on you occasionally. Okay. Well, this is a public hearing, so we will open up for public comment. If you are interested in commenting on Resolution 25-31, you are welcome to come to the microphone, state your name, and take 3 minutes. Seeing no one coming to the microphone, I will bring it back to the council for discussion and or action.
Mark, can you please restate why is it that we need to do this?
Every couple of 3 years, we do what's called a cost of service analysis, and we look at what all our costs are and what our revenues are, and if they match up. And just over the last couple of, maybe 5 years, power costs have increased a lot. Equipment costs, transformer costs, wire costs, everything has gone up. So in order to cover that cost, we need to raise our rates, increase our revenue.
Thank you.
When is the last time that we've increased rates?
Well, the consultant that we used, I think 3 years ago, said you can either do like a 10 or a 15% raise all at once, or it might be smart to do 2 to 3% per year for several years. So that's kind of where we're at. I think this is the 3rd year we've done an incremental rate increase.
About 3%. Yeah.
Do you foresee we will do another one this coming year?
Yes, I do foresee one next year.
As in, next year, 2026.
I can't remember if, I'd have to look at my sheet. He proposed either 4 or 5 years, and this is the 3rd one we've done, so.
Not doing one would mean what?
Logan City Light and Power is not a for-profit company, but is not a for-loss company either.
Thank you.
Can I quiz you? Where's this insufficient funds charge on here? Because I did not notice that one.
It's at the, I think it might be on the very last page at the bottom. NSF is what it says.
NSF.
It's either the second last or the very last page, I think.
I'm scrolling. There it is, yeah. Why is my search function not working?
You found it.
I found it, I know. I mean, I don't love charging. I know there's staff time. I don't love charging more than we need to recoup our costs on that one.
Well,
I know it's a
staff
tiny amount.
time, But
I
again,
know.
staff time, you're probably actually still undercharging.
Yeah, it's a kind of pay you rich.
Actual cost is higher
Oh, I
than
know.
what we pay
I know.
in fees. Unfortunately, it is a pain in the neck to have to track it down, so.
So we have had more of these because we allow electronic checks now. And so there has been a little bit of an uptick in how many we've received, so that has also drawn our attention to it. I'm not concerned as long as it's above 35. But this is also fairly elective, and most people should know if they don't have sufficient funds. I guess as an accountant, it's an unforgivable sin.
As someone who's married to an accountant, I understand that. But also, before I was married to an accountant, I found what
hate
those fees
yeah.
were.
You let it happen once and then you don't do it again.
Yeah, unless you're
Really in trouble.
really struggling to make
Yeah,
ends meet.
really in trouble.
I just think that, I mean,
You don't love to pile on, but you also.
I don't love to pile on.
Work with people who call us and are willing to work with us. And
Is it common that people call and want to set up a payment schedule or work with you first before they end up hitting an insufficient funds once or twice?
I mean, we don't know who would have.
I guess
so
that's true.
hard to know. But
Correct.
is it common to have, it's not uncommon. We do deal with it. We keep them very short because it doesn't make sense to do a 6-month plan when you're gonna have another bill next month.
Right.
Another bill the month after that, so we can't go long. But we, particularly somebody who hasn't had issues with paying their bill, we're more than willing to work with our customers. But again, anything above 35, I'm good with. 45 is just so next time they jack the rates, we don't start losing money.
Which with our luck, we'd raise it to 35 and then they'd raise it next month, right?
It's been 20 for at least 20 years, so.
I know. I vividly remember those overdraft fees when I was young and not married to an accountant.
It's certainly
I know it's a small amount, but it does, I don't know.
So are you saying you would
I would
prefer that we
I would
raise
prefer
it
to see
to
it at 35. And I know it's staff time's not getting reimbursed at that point, but like you said, I feel bad piling on when people are really struggling to make ends meet.
Well, they're struggling and then there's passing a bad check. And those are two different things.
They are. But you can never really know which is which.
Again,
That is
sometimes
subjective.
there are frequent
That is
flyers.
subjective.
That is subjective.
But we totally get it.
What is the incidence rate of this type of fee?
I don't have good information for you. I could get that next time. It's not a tremendously frequent occurrence, but we're talking, let's say, 10 a month with 22,000 visitors.
$100 for the city a month.
But every once in a while, there's one for an apartment complex of 200 units, and that'll take about 8 hours of work done, too. It's a nightmare. But they would get hit with 200 fees. So that's not, that kind of makes up for it.
And also would make you think again.
I would really
We
think
don't.
Yeah, we may not do that.
Did we lose Jeannie again? She just texted me. I think Jeannie's gone.
The genie is gone?
Yeah, Jeannie just texted me. Wherever she's at, it's great service. Any other thoughts from Mark or Ernesto?
I always hate increasing utility rates, but this is one that we did discuss 3 years ago. It's like a little bit at a time, so that's better than doing a big chunk all at once. It still hurts, but
I'd rather have $2 a month raised every
yeah,
year
but
than
every year
$20
$20
raised
all
every
at once,
5
yeah,
years.
So it's a lesser of two evils.
It's a little
so.
more painful.
And inflation's a real thing.
When you come and tell us that transformers cost almost double what they did 5 years ago, that's concerning. So we have to make sure those costs are covered somehow. So
However, hopefully we'll catch that a little bit. I think I mentioned last time that we've gone from calculating exact costs for transformers and wires and connection fees to back to a more table format because they've slowed down quite a bit. It's a little more stable.
I'll move for approval of resolution 25-31.
I'll second the motion.
Are you willing to meet me at 35?
I think you've got a motion on the
But,
floor.
I like it just the way it is.
I like it the way it is.
Yeah, we're hoping, yeah.
We're certainly, we don't want to hold up this resolution.
If it becomes,
That's the thing, I don't want to hold it up. But
if it becomes burdensome, you will come back and tell us, and we can adjust it
if it becomes burdensome at 35 or 45?
at 45. Yeah, because I approved at 45.
Yeah.
Or by motion, I moved at 45.
Well, we will call for a vote. I don't know if Jeannie's there. I hear noises over the, I don't know if that's your microphone or.
I don't think so.
We will call for a vote on resolution 25-31. Jeannie, are you there?
I am there, but Mike, could you clarify for me what amount we're voting on? I just heard.
Yes, it's the light and power resolution still. Mark made a motion to approve it as is with the $45 insufficient funds fee. And
I
Ernesto
will
seconded that.
I will vote yes on that.
Mark?
Aye.
Ernesto?
Aye.
I'm going to vote nay, just because I wanted the 35.
Just to be,
But I wouldn't hold it up over, but
yeah,
I'll vote nay.
understandable.
Motion passes, 25-31 passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. I appreciate your time. Our next item is a public hearing, Resolution 25-32 with Rich. Rich, will you run us through the details of this one?
So the most significant one from a budgetary standpoint, as well as impact, is the first one, requesting to appropriate $150,000 of risk management reserves toward anticipated Canyon Road Trail litigation, with the caveat that we may have to come back for more depending on where this leads. Next is, the rest of these are grants and RAPS grants. 159,276 population split allocation to the city used for various projects. 35,000 for the aquatic center boiler replacement, 53,915 for the disc golf course picnic tables, 83,758 for the disc golf course restroom, and 275,000 for the Main Street pedestrian bike underpass. As I said, all those after the first one are all grants from RAPS tax through Cache County.
I just want to say before we open it up for public, I appreciate Craig and Mayor. Thank you for trying to take care of this without having to go to litigation on the $150,000. I know you really, really tried. There were a lot of people that were annoyed that it took so long, but the efforts that you made to try and make it work without having to litigate, I very much appreciate that. So thank you. Yeah.
Craig. Kudos to Craig.
I will second that, Mark, because I know I express frustration at times, but I, in retrospect, respect Craig and Mayor Daines' approach on it. And I think it was, we don't want a city that's too happy, but at the same time we need to protect citizens' rights.
I just think you did it the right way.
They did.
You just really did it the right way, and I just wanted you to know how much I appreciate that. So,
Yeah.
thank you.
Nope.
Yeah.
I agree. Thank you, Mark. Jeannie, any comments before we open up for public hearing?
Not from me.
Wonderful. We will open this up for a public hearing. If you have any comments on these budget adjustments, feel free to come to the microphone, state your name, and take 3 minutes.
Right now, I'm Gail Yost, not Dr. Yost, because I have 3 of my grandsons who are in their 20s. And one lives in Salt Lake but comes up to play disc golf with the other 2 every weekend. And knowing that they will have easy facilities within the range of Logan is going to be wonderful for them, because for 3 brothers, they actually get along together.
It's nice.
They're in their 20s, they're each single, and I'm just saying, yay, thank you, Parks and Rec, for putting this forth, because we really need to have these facilities for younger people and not just having paddle games for us old folks. My husband likes
Pickleball.
the net. He played tennis as a young kid, but he fails really badly at disc golf. So thank you for doing that.
You gotta be great at everything, right, Gail?
Thank you, Gal. Be sure we don't call it frisbee golf.
Disc golf. Right?
Disc golf.
Disc golf.
Anyone else have any public comments? Seeing no one, I will bring it back to the council for discussion or action.
Do we need to appropriate more than $150,000 for our risk management? Or are we good with that for right now, Rich?
I think it's just a beginning, and they'll ask for more if they need it.
All right.
I'll give them more.
Yeah, I think we're willing to go more, so, yeah.
I will move approval
I'll second.
of the resolution.
It's been moved and seconded. We'll do a roll call vote. Mark?
Aye.
Ernesto?
Aye.
Jeannie?
Aye.
And Mike? Aye. Resolution 25-32 passes. Thanks, Rich. Our next item is a public hearing, ordinance 25-10, with Mike from Community Development. Mike, do you want to give us a quick rundown on what this is?
You betcha.
Thank you.
Okay, so you've seen this before a bunch of times. Just give you a quick rundown. This is ordinance 25-10. You saw this last year under a different ordinance number. This is it's a readoption of the municipal boundary adjustment between Logan and Nibley, and it is located down off 2200 South on the state highway. So there's a 60-day window. Once you adopt an ordinance, or each city adopts the ordinance, we have 60 days to get it recorded with the state. There was a problem with the owner's representative. Somebody left the office, it just fell off the table, and we hadn't heard anything back. And so then they finally said, hey, wait a second, what's going on? So here we are again. It's a pretty easy one. We've talked about this for a number of years. Basically what it does is straighten out the line between Logan and Nibley along 2200 South on the highway. It involves these properties. It cleans up a little bit down by the charter school. And then all these properties are aware of it and have been informed and are involved with it. So that's what it looks like, and happy to answer your questions.
I know we talked about this, but everyone's involved knows, and there were no negative comments or concerns from any of the property owners.
Makes sense from an infrastructure standpoint for everybody. Okay. We've been working on this one for a long time.
Yeah.
I know I've seen it a few
As
times.
long as I can remember being on council, we've been working on this one, so. Okay.
No comments?
No comments? Okay, this is a public hearing. If you are interested in making a comment on ordinance 25-10, feel free to come to the microphone, state your name, and take 3 minutes. It's always a race on ones like this. Seeing no one, we'll bring it back to the council for discussion and or a motion.
I'll move for approval of ordinance 25-10.
Second the
I'll
motion.
second that.
Ooh, yeah.
I don't know who's first there.
Yeah, Jeannie's been working on this one longer than I have,
Yeah.
so.
It's been moved and seconded. We'll do a roll call vote. Jeannie?
Aye.
Ernesto?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
And Mike? Aye. Ordinance 25-10 passes. Thanks, Mike.
You betcha.
We'll keep you up here, and we'll move on to our workshop items. Mike, do you want to take us away on ordinance 25-11?
Yeah, if I could get this to work. Yeah. It's not wanting to. There we go. Okay, this is a code amendment to the Land Development Code involving Chapter 1724, critical lands overlay zone. So what we regulate is critical lands. They include the floodplains, geologically unstable areas, so the slopes, faults, liquefaction, areas of liquefaction, poor soils. We have a category of lands above 4850, so that's really the bench areas. There's a line that we draw on above that. It's really about aesthetics. Riparian areas, which would be things like the Logan River, certain drainage areas, wetland areas, and then there's an area that's called the Wildland Urban Interface, which is typically up on the bench area. Now, there was a House bill that came through this past session that's going to change how we regulate that. So you'll see that in a few months. Once we get mapping done, the state has required us to adopt certain regulations by the end of the year, so we'll be back here soon. So this one, we adopted changes to the current set of regulations in 2023. As a result of changes in our FEMA rules, there was some pressure by the state and FEMA to update our regulations for floodplains. We did that, and that's in the Logan Municipal Code. And then we realized our review procedures and our definitions were lacking. And then also Willow Lakes kind of caused us to step back and say, okay, what are we actually doing with this, with these types of regulations? So since 2023, after we adopted those standards, we again realized, wait a sec, what are we doing? How do we regulate development? Why are we doing it? It brought to light the way we review things, and there's a lot of unanswered questions. And the bigger question when we look at these is really, are we duplicating an existing set of regulation In some cases, we are. And that's a bigger philosophical question we probably should ask and answer. So the proposed changes in the riparian areas, we're going to change the definition. And I'll come back to this in a minute. But in the riparian areas, currently we have a three-tiered approach to riparian areas. There's 3 stages. One is 50 feet, so 0 to 50, 50 to 100, and then 100 to 150. And the proposal is to go back to a straight setback of 25 feet from the area of Harwood. And the reason we want to do that is because when you look at most of Logan, it's already developed out. So we're going to have a hard time telling somebody who has a vacant property on Logan River with houses on either side that you've got to have a 100-foot setback off the river. It'll be a tough sell to say there's an environmental benefit to do that when I can look at this guy is 20 feet and this guy is 25 feet. How do you want me to be 100 feet still? It seems reasonable and fair. We want to change the clearing limitations to 50%. We also want to or need to permit parks and recreational types of facilities, utilities and bridges, things that you would normally find next to a river or next to a wetland that are there now. Trapper Park, for example, our trail system that we didn't contemplate when we wrote the earlier regs. And then we want to clarify the expansion of how you expand a non-conforming use. So we want to make it easier if you want to expand away from the resource as opposed to expanding closer to the resource. So generally, we're built out. There's probably 12 vacant lots from about 10th west up to the mouth of the canyon that are privately owned. And so we're just trying to anticipate that we will deal with conflict on each of those lots at some point in the future. We want to simplify how we regulate in the riparian areas. We also want to recognize certain uses are located in riparian areas. And it doesn't negate the fact that you still have floodplain rules, that there's overlapping jurisdictions, whether it's floodplains, wetlands, or riparian standards. So here's an example of an existing lot. And you look at these 2 homes that are next to it. This is on the Logan River, 5th east, I think this is 3rd south. This is where the setback line would be under our current standards. And this lot has already been cleared down to the river. So the question that we ask and answer is it fair to say you've got to put in a tough shed back here and you can't do anything else down in here? And probably not fair, right? When you look around and you look at both sides of you, it's unreasonable to expect that.
It would never be developed with anything.
Right, correct. So when we jump to wetlands, wetlands are basically defined by the Corps of Engineers. There's 3 criteria you have to meet. One is vegetation, one is certain types of soils, and hydrology. You have to have all 3 of those to make a wetland. You can have 2 of the 3, and it wouldn't classify as a wetland. So what we use internally as staff to define where a wetland is, if you look at the upper left map, that's an older National Wetland Inventory map. That was our baseline. We looked at that and said, yeah, you probably have wetlands on your site. Go do a delineation. That was refined in 2022, a little bit better data. This is what they came up with in 22. Again, it's still our baseline to say you have wetlands, go do a delineation. And then you look at the bottom aerial, and that's basically Willow Lakes. That's after a delineation. It shows you the distinction between what's a true wetland that's been delineated that meets the core standards versus what we say may be a wetland. So there's a big disconnect between maybe to actually truly existing out there. So the proposed changes that we've added relative to wetlands is it clarifies the applicability of these rules, and they only apply to jurisdictional wetlands. So if you have a wetland on your property that is delineated and the Corps says it's not in our jurisdiction, then we don't regulate development in it or adjacent to it. If it is in their jurisdiction, so they consider it a water of the U.S., then we would regulate the area around the wetland. Okay? The proposal is to establish a wetland buffer currently at 50 feet to push it back to 25 feet. And then we've clarified that if you are doing a project that's within 100 feet of a potential wetland, you've got to submit a wetland delineation. If you're further away, then we won't require a wetland delineation. We think there's enough distance between what our earlier map showed and what truly would exist on the site. We've clarified that if you're required to do delineation, you've got to submit it through applications when you apply for a conditional use permit or design review. And then if you're truly going to do a wetland fill or a wetland impact and get a Corps permit, you've got to show us you've applied for the application or that permit at the time of our application, but then also provide a copy of the permit when you apply for a building permit. So that way there's guarantees on what you've applied for. There's certainty between step A and step B. Proposed changes to setbacks. Proposal is to go down to 25 feet. Proposal for structures, uses, and developments adjacent to a ditch or canal that's a delineated wetland. And we have those on the west side of town. It's 20 feet from that delineated edge. There's a proposal to add a setback from residential property line to a delineated wetland of 15 feet. And then road construction, 20-foot setback from the back of curb to an edge of a wetland. Again, we've tried to clarify the expansion nonconformities. Typically, you require a CUP, but if you're going to expand landward and we say no, CUP is required. We added in language that allows for stormwater facilities to go in a wetland buffer if the city engineer approves it. And the idea is you can do a constructed wetland that actually functions as stormwater retention or detention. We put in here, proposal is to have HOA manage those wetlands and wetland areas. That way you don't have lot lines over a specific wetland. Because if you do that, then you know over time that's going to get filled with grass clippings or dirt or whatever else. This way, there's a central entity that manages that resource. Changes would allow for parks and rec facilities in a wetland buffer. It would allow for underground utilities in a wetland buffer, and then also for bridges, which seems pretty obvious. So again, why are we doing this? Why go through the process again? We want to simplify our approach. We had a little bit of pushback in a project that came through recently, not only from the owner, but also from Public Works about, hey, wait a sec, our right-of-ways are a fixed location. If there's a wetland next to it, it really makes it challenging for us as a city to build a road or having to buy additional private property to shift that road over. So we tried to find a balance between, what seemed reasonable from an environmental perspective as well as from the city's financial perspective. We also need to recognize there are certain uses that are probably appropriate near in a wetland. So the golf course is one. That was put in there for some floodwater mitigation. Provides a lot of stormwater control. There's wetlands in there that function. There's a riparian area that functions that's accessible to the public. So it does show that you can have uses next to these resource areas and still be successful. So Willow Lakes is kind of a poster child for how we apply these rules since it's fresh in everybody's mind. This is the Willow Lakes project site. This is where they're going to put in a couple of water ski lakes. They're selling home sites. The river is in this blue. So this shows you the green area again is potential wetlands. So when you look at it, you're like, ooh, you got a lot of wetlands. We've got to address that issue. Blue is the river. Red is the floodplain that's been delineated and accepted by FEMA. So they hired a set of engineers that addressed the wetland, or the floodplains, I'm sorry, and this has been accepted by our city engineer and FEMA. And it was different than what we originally thought was out there. We originally thought this entire site was in a floodplain, and that's what we heard back. So this is the delineated wetlands again. The big area on the right-hand side is the blue. There's an endangered species in there as well. This shows kind of that overlaid with their proposed layout. Now, it's interesting to note that when we went through this process, we were able to obtain a conservation easement along the river, which will provide future trail access for residents of this development as well as for city residents. And that in turn pushed those lots away from the river in that riparian area. The yellow is also an area, it's a conservation easement, and that's there in order to protect that one endangered species, the Ute ladies tresses?
Ute ladies tresses.
Yeah, that one. So this shows you that you can do a project within an environmentally sensitive area but still be meaningful to the owner as well as to the residents in the community. There's an area that I'm sure you've seen email exchanges about this little stretch along the northern boundary. When we reviewed the project, we call that a canal. That is labeled as part of the Little Logan or the North Branch Little Logan River. The state has now said that's in their jurisdiction, so they require any kind of stream alteration permit. What this shows you is that as part of the mitigation package that the Corps and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife agreed to in this project is they are going to do mitigation in that channel to create more wetlands, create more floodplain, create more riparian habitat. So in the long run, in 10 years, that will be an environmentally rich area that will allow for water to get in and out of there. So that's a good thing. The question will come up is how do we measure a setback on those lots? And when we established the project and allowed those lots to go in, we defined it as a canal. It's actually man-made. The river itself, or that stretch of water, has been pushed down there. They dug that out. So in our opinion, and the state told us at the time that it was a canal, so we apply that setback to future development. This is just another map that shows the overlay. So this is just to jump to a different project. This is Hogan Estates. This just shows you how the rules would be applied. This is what got us talking with Public Works, with our attorneys about, okay, how do we look at these rules and make them so that we can still protect a resource but still make it so folks can develop their property. So on this side, this is 18th South and then 2000 West, all right?
I think so.
16th West, somewhere out there.
It's the south end of Trapper Parks Road, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
So they've got a couple of ponds on the site, and they've gone through the process with the Corps. The Corps has said, you can obtain a permit to fill them, you've got to mitigate somewhere in basin or in the location. There's not a lot of mitigation sites available. So they were faced with that challenge. We were faced with our wetland setback that actually pushed it back into where these lots are. And so it took a number of lots down by I think 10 additional lots. So in applying the new rules, this red line is basically the setback for the new property line off the edge of the boundary of the wetland, and then you'll have an additional setback to a building. So we give a little bit of that buffer area, but we also gain a little bit next to the wetland. And then in turn, when you look at the standards for the road, it allows Public Works to put in a roadway on the landward side of the wetland without having to go through additional permitting. So it helps the city in that respect. Same thing down in here. Here's a large wetland area. They'll leave that in natural condition. It allowed this road to go in right here by reducing that setback down, so it allows for sidewalk, park strip, things like that, and allowed them to get their lots and development. So that was kind of the trade-off as we went through the process to evaluate how effective our rules were.
What's the current setback for that road to that wetland area?
50 feet.
50? And it's 23 is what's measured on there?
Yeah, 23 feet now.
And the proposal is to go down to 20.
Correct. And that's measured to back of curb.
But you could put a sidewalk
You could
inside
put
the wetland mitigation.
in the wetland buffer. You could put a sidewalk and a park strip in there. And the logic was if I can put a trail, a Parks and Rec trail, a hard surface next to the river or next to a wetland, why shouldn't I put a sidewalk in there? And there's two theories or two trains of thought. One is distance is valuable to a resource area. The further away you can stay from it, whether it's a trail or whether it's a person or whether it's a house, the better off you are. But the reality is we live in an area that's built out and we need additional housing. So this is a way to try to get in some type of housing, but also protect that resource. The preference on my part is that we don't do any of this. We just default to the Corps, and we tell people, go deal with the Corps, get a Corps permit to fill, and we don't regulate what's around it. We just say default to the Corps, but I'm not sure that's palatable. So.
The way this development is platted is with the proposed rules.
Yeah, we let them know what we were proposing to you guys. We said, this is what we are going to take forward. And they went ahead and redesigned their project to meet the rules. But again, it's at their risk.
How many total housing units are in the development as proposed in this slide?
25.
25?
Correct.
And if you don't change the rules,
If we're down to
15.
Yeah,
You said it was about
16.
10.
you said 10, but so it cuts the unit almost in half.
Yeah.
Correct.
It's our gigantic.
What are you talking about? They're huge lots.
6,000.
10,000 square feet?
That one's big, yeah.
I'm-
The rest are like
I know,
6,000.
they're small.
That's just right.
Good start.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's good size.
sorry.
Keep going. Mark and I will
No,
shout.
we're just, yeah, we'll show.
One time constraint.
Who's holding the gavel, Mike?
Takeaways, we're just trying to clarify our regulatory system. We try to clarify what we are required to take in at time of application. Recognition that we also left things out when we adopted these standards in 2023. We didn't think about a park or a trail or a bridge. We just didn't address it very well. So with that, happy to answer your questions.
I understand that there was, many years ago, I don't know if it was like 20 years ago, a flood event next to, I don't think it was Logan River.
Plattsmouth Fork?
No, here near where that, I think it's a trailer park. Near that area, there are some
Out by
homes
Trapper?
built. No,
The one on 17th South, one that's built right next to the river, floods every other year.
not the actual area where the trailer homes are or used to be, but to the south of them, where actual homes are. And I understand that there was some flooding that happened there.
Oh, Country Manor? It's north of the drain there.
Country Manor was where we finally redid the berms, got some federal funding
I
to
think that's the one.
redo some of the berms.
So back then, how does that compare to what we are, the regulations that were applied then, how does that compare to?
Yeah, when those were put in, they were put in a floodplain. I don't know when originally Country Manor was developed. You know, Paul?
Say it again.
Country Manor? When was it built? 70s? 60s? Yeah, so the level of our protection in floodplain was pretty minimal back then. Now, you generally couldn't do that unless you accounted for the displacement of flood water. You have to elevate your house at least a foot above base flood elevation. So your finished floor has to be a foot above base flood elevation. And then whatever you do, whatever fill you put into a floodplain, you've got to account for that elsewhere on site. So you can't just like, you know, if I'm going to put my house here, it's a floodplain, where's the floodwater going to go? You can't just let it spill on someone else's property. You have to account for it somewhere else by digging it out or engineering or hydraulics. So these rules don't affect that type of development. That's already covered in our Logan Municipal Code. Let's say it's 1527 that gets at development of floodplain.
Did I just miss it, or what did the planning commission decide?
They recommend approval.
Okay.
Yeah, I
'Cause
think it was
I'm
unanimous.
I've gone through it like 15 times, it's like,
Yeah, it was a unanimous.
I can't
approval.
find it, so,
First page.
it's not there, honestly.
It's like the third
At
page.
least the one that I'm looking at, it's not there.
It's the third page,
Page 3, I just like went through the third page.
but the second page is completely empty.
Bolded, highlighted, yellow, underlined.
So my third page has that map right there, and it doesn't say anything about.
Public hearing in 2 weeks.
Thank you for the information, that's all I needed.
So it's a workshop, so we'll
Say any other questions from the council?
Were there any people that came to the planning commission and expressed concerns about this?
There was no public comment at the planning commission, no.
Planning commission. We have received a few emails on it, yeah.
Thank you.
Jeannie, no comments?
Not at the time. I will share my comments later.
Wonderful. Okay, so this is a workshop item. I know a few of you are attending with interest in this one. We will hold a public hearing at this at our next council meeting on August 19th at 5:30. And obviously, you're welcome to reach out to any of us via phone or email between now and then as well. Mike, thank you for your time. We'll move on to ordinance 25-12 with Ron Gonzalez. Did I say that right?
Yes, sir. Yep.
Gonzalez. Got a great pronunciation there.
No,
Is this your first time presenting at council?
yes, it is.
We hadn't
We hadn't
introduced
introduced
himself.
Celebration.
Oh, yes.
Presented.
Yes, Mayor, apologize. All right, good evening.
You wear a
Mayor,
suit every day
council
to work?
Excuse me?
You wear a suit every day to work?
No, he's just trying to match, you know.
I'm just
Okay,
keeping on the time. Welcome to your first presentation.
Thank you. So today I will be covering the proposed ordinance adoption of the National Incident Management System. So the National Incident Management System was established in 2003 under Homeland Security Directive-5 as part of the federal response to lessons learned from the September 11, 2001 attacks. While 9/11 served as the official catalyst for the standardized approach to incident response of something that catastrophic, NIMS is actually the culmination of over 40 years of effort to improve coordination and interoperability in emergency management. So NIMS provides a consistent nationwide framework that is applicable to all types of incidents and all levels of stakeholders, including federal, state, tribal, and local governments, private sector organizations, critical infrastructure owners and operators, non-government organizations, and any other entities involved in emergency management. It enhances preparedness by ensuring that all participants understand what to expect and how to operate collaboratively across jurisdictions and disciplines, including first responders, partner agencies, and emergency managers. So here in Logan City, NIMS principles are already practiced within law enforcement, fire services, emergency management, and other key personnel in Logan City departments. And moving forward, the emergency management program is focused on seeking a robust process such as onboarding new employees to have some familiarization with NIMS as well, that our relevant staff members have a foundational understanding. So finally, the adoption of this proposed ordinance will position Logan City to qualify for future federal funding related to emergency planning, training, response, and recovery efforts before, during, and after major incidents. And at this time, do you guys have any questions that I can answer for you?
Do you have any questions?
That was pretty comprehensive. I don't know if I
Question, I guess. Do any of the surrounding cities already have adopted this?
Yes, from my understanding, the county has adopted it. As far as other local jurisdictions around us, Councilman, I don't know. But it is a standard approach that talking to other local city emergency managers, that they do understand when we do have our meetings together. The terminology is the same. Everybody understands. We're all on the same page.
Thank you.
No other questions or concerns from the council? Good for me. Thank you, Ron. I appreciate it.
Ron.
I'm trying to make sure if that was Jeannie talking or just raccoons attacking her on the phone.
Gremlins?
Gremlins, maybe. Thank you, Ron. We'll move back to Rich Anderson for Resolution 25-33 for our last item tonight.
3 grants to consider appropriating. The first is request to appropriate $2,449 EMS grant for medical training, $5,000 from the state of Utah from the library for supplies and materials, and the last one is $40,000 from Cigna for wellness program and incentivizing wellness amongst our insured employees.
Thank you, Rich. Any questions for Rich?
Pretty straightforward.
I say straightforward, and we all like grants, right?
It's not serious, so.
Okay, that is our last agenda item. Are there any other considerations before we close?
Yeah, I was talking to a couple people here in the city who are legally blind, and they brought to my attention that they complimented the city in this effort to have more ADA compliant corners redone and improved. They mentioned that there are some of them that have recently been redone, that have some issues. And I'm trying to remember which one exactly it is that they were very upset about, because they felt that it's an actual trip hazard for anybody that walks on it. So I'll go back to them and see if
Paul's clicking his pen back there.
They, again, do them according to code, so
yeah.
if there are problems, let us know.
Is that the other one? No other considerations? Okay, we will adjourn our meeting. Thank you, everyone, for coming.
No,
Hopefully, we'll see some of you on Thursday.
it's good to see some of these here because I have to leave right now.
I was hoping around 6:30.